Hello, welcome to Quackalope. Thank you for joining us. Today we're going to be taking a look at a brand new small box game from Red Raven Games.
Deep Vents.
Deep Vents. Now, there isn't a lot of flavor text in this game. I have to start off by saying that this is a Quackalope video. The only flavor text that they have is build a thriving ecosystem and compete to survive in the deep ocean.
Perfect level and length of flavor text. I love it.
I was expecting piles and piles and booklets of deep philosophical flavor text that go into the lore behind this game. Instead, I will just have to have Jan. This is Jan. He's a goose. Say hi, Jan.
Honk. Oh. Honk.
It's not an official Quackalope shirt. It should be sooner or later. If you're an artist out there and you'd like to design us an official honk shirt, just email us or something. All that being said, that's besides the point. We don't need to solicitate artists. So, Jan.
Yes.
What is this game?
So this is a tile-laying tableau building game.
This is a game where you are trying to birth the new life down in the deep, deep parts of the ocean, creating and populating your tiles with algae and chaining those effects that kind of sequence into this ecosystem bubbling to life and surfacing with a giant behemoth crab-like monster to slowly colonize and take over the human race.
So in other words, this is a tile-laying game where you're trying to build a group of tiles that will work together in order to get you victory points, which are called archaeon. Whoever has the most archaeon at the end of the game, through the combination of creating a really powerful engine, will win.
They will win the game, meaning that their crab-like deity creature will crawl from the deep vents, the bottom recesses of the sea, crunching ships in its feet as it reaches up, scurrying onto the sandy beaches of our own populated ecosystem and slowly munching away at the human species.
And the way you'll do that is by drafting tiles from this general market, adding that into your general ecosystem, and then activating each and every single tile. At the end of the game, both Jesse and I are going to have 9 tiles that we're all going to activate in a particular sequence, try and get as much archaeon as we can, and at that point we'll see who has the better crab-like monster creature that will rule the world.
And once
apparently.
The giant squid has successfully conquered...
I thought it was a crab.
Well, there's a few different creatures that exist in this game.
Oh, okay.
Once whatever deep-sea beast you've created does take over the entire human population, they will then discover and create and manufacture spaceships that fly them into the sky. This, I think, is a prequel.
That's an expansion, everyone. Comes next.
I think this is a prequel to some other Red Raven titles we've covered here on the channel.
Oh, is it?
Specifically...
Which one?
Empires of the Void.
Whoa,
possibly
hot take.
The direct opposite of what this is. Empires of the Void is it is as close to a 4X space exploration game as they've made, right? It is their take on a accessible, story-driven 4X game. I think it all starts here in Deep Vents.
We're going very deep out of this gameplay video, which, by the way, this is what it's going to be.
Do you see what happens when you don't give me the level of flavor text that I need? My mind starts forming the story on its own.
With all that being said, Jesse, you are going to be the first player here.
I've heard it said I'm going to be the first player here. Now, that being said, this game does have a lot of complexity when it comes to iconography, and each of these tiles actually have multiple things they can do, things they can do depending on what they are adjacent to, and multiple actions you can take throughout each turn, and you're resolving those every round throughout an 8-round game.
So what you're trying to say is that we're going to be referencing the rulebook during the gameplay, which we never do?
Because we would totally get things wrong if we didn't make sure we knew exactly how some of these things operate. There's a lot that they're trying to communicate through iconography on these tiles, and it is not always fully accessible until you just know from playing the game exactly what each type of creature is able to do.
You need some experience with it.
I think so. Yeah, and there's not a lot of tiles in this game. I think it's probably 15 or so total, so not a lot to learn, but we haven't played it enough to really have the flow of it down yet.
Yeah.
And this is deceiving amount of strategy in this for something that is
very, very small,
self-contained.
Yes.
All that being said, shall we start digging in?
Yes, let's crack on.
Now, the way I'm going to make my decision in the marketplace here is pretty standard. I'm going to pay for my own supply, which are victory points, some archaeon for everyone that I skip over. But I could take anyone up to this final 5th place in the marketplace, and then it'll refresh, crunch down, populate. I will also have an action phase where I resolve every single part of my ecosystem generating or attacking or going to war. Now, there is a little bit of take that in this.
And one of the most important things about that activation phase is that we do have kind of rows that we have to follow in a particular order.
Yeah.
So we need to know and understand how we change everything.
Yeah, so how you're building, where you're placing, all of that starts becoming very important. Now, I'm going to take the black smoke, just this first one here.
So a free one, huh?
Black smoke's going to pop down here. It was free for me. Now, the iconography that you're seeing on this, because I now have to resolve it. Up here with my deep vent, there are two things that I could do. I could either grow it, which gives me 2 more of these that I actually place on the tile. That's how you use them. They're not scoring much for you yet, but they become accessible. Or I could do this ability. This ability is going to indicate that I am taking all of my Archaeon that's on here and putting it into my personal storage, meaning converting it to victory points. Here with black smoke, same concept. I could take 3, a little bit more powerful, or I could trigger, spend 2 Archaeon from the board here, move all the remaining Archaeon on this hex to my supply, then add 1 Archaeon from the general supply to each adjacent hex. So it collects and then populates.
That's really powerful.
To start with, all I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2 to deep vent, and I'm going to add 2 to black smoker, or 3 to black smoker actually. So that's my first turn.
That's such a great tile to get in your very first turn.
We'll see. We will see. On to you.
Okay. So, I feel like I need to start generating a lot more resources here, but at the same time, I kind of want to be defensive. So I'm looking at the Yeti Crab. Not sure if I really want the Yeti Crab.
Sure.
Man, it's just so expensive.
The Isopod Swarm has a little bit... It's easier to get that shell from it.
Yes, but it's also much more difficult to try and generate those resources on it. But sure, let's go ahead and get that Isopod Swarm, and we will figure out where this puppy goes.
Okay, and you're going to attach that to your board, and then you're going to start resolving.
Yeah, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this guy right here, and then I'm going to generate 2, and unfortunately, I'm not going to have anything that I can activate with this Isopod Swarm now.
You need to mess with my board in order, or you need me to at least mess with my own board in order to resolve that. Now, I am in fact going to take the Yeti Crab here.
So you were doing the long con, huh?
for a very specific reason. This Yeti tab's going to lock into here. Now, these are environmental triggers. So in the bottom portion of this, you can see what you can activate to grow.
Okay.
In the top side, you see the icon that other things can interact with. The Yeti Crab is living in the habitat here of the deep vent and the black smoker.
So it's going to generate a lot of
So watch
things.
this. I start with deep vent, gain 2 from that. Then I go over to Yeti Crab because I have to follow the order. I'm going to generate for every mountainous and fiery or hot region.
5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 total.
You can grab this one. That's a 5 straight.
Okay. Then I go down here to Black Smoke Jumper. I'm going to go ahead and generate 3 on it.
So what you mean is that you're going to win this game already, right? Is that the case? Because it feels like that might happen already.
We all make mistakes. Yours just tend to happen earlier in games than most.
Oh, God. It does, doesn't it? Every single time.
It's funny because the last game you were in a good position, you know.
Oh, was I? Yeah, I loved that particular playthrough. Fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this, I guess.
Okay, the porous rock.
I'm placing this here.
Okay.
And then I'll just start generating. I'll gain 1 here, 2 here, and that's it.
That's all you're able to do?
Unfortunately.
All right. Moving on to me. Question is, because we're already 3 rounds into this. This is a quick playing game.
And I am very behind. Clearly. You
are a little behind.
I'm extremely behind. Do we score if they're on our hexes, or do they need to be in our pool?
You do score, but they're only worth half. So, I'm going to pop this here. I'm going to take the Goblin Shark, add him down here to the board. So starting up here with Deep Vent, I'm going to generate 2 more. Yeti Crab is going to generate 5 more. Black Smoker is going to spend 2, take everything off, and then add 1 to every adjacent hex. Make sense?
Does it go inside as well?
Yeah, so the ones I took off of here, I had 6 total.
So you pay 2.
Paid 2.
And then 4 go in.
4 go on to my personal supply.
Oof.
And now with the Goblin Shark, I'm going to generate 2 from the mountainous regions next to it.
How is it that you're, like, it's not that you're just beating me today, it's that you are, like, steamrolling me every single time we play a game. Like, what is going on, man?
Well, you know, there's a thing called skill, planning.
Sure,
Pure luck. Oh, wait, that's not.
Oh, my God. Dude, I don't even know what to do anymore already. So, I guess... those are not triggers. I guess I'll put one here, and I'll put one here in order to get the vampire squid.
Okay.
And I'll grab that and put him here.
I'm gonna be honest. Probably your first mistake was taking the isopod swarm.
Apparently. Jesus. Okay, so the vampire squid has a special ability that every time anything triggers around him, he's going to get one thing put on top. Yep. So I'm going to activate that. Then I'm going to go ahead and trigger this so I can gain one shell. And then I will trigger this to populate that, which means this gets 2.
Okay.
And that's it.
All right, moving on to me. Let's see here. Okay, so I'm going to, I think, start over here with, I'm going to spend 1, or use this one. Oh, no. I'm going to spend 1 to take this this swarm this time. Don't know exactly where I want to stick it, but I think I'm going to do it right here in this spot. Okay. Up here with deep vent, starting with deep vent. I'm actually going to collect all of this time. So move that all into my personal supply. Yeti crab, I'm going to spend 3, so I'll get 2 back, to gain a shell and attack you. So you're going to lose 1. And I gain a shell. You got rid of your shell. Okay? Your shell's worth more victory points than 1 archon, though. I'm then going to do the black smoker. I'm going to put 3 onto it. The goblin shark, I'm going to go ahead and spend 3. I'm going to destroy a shell, and then you're going to lose 1 archon. You know what? I destroy your shell, too.
No, you destroy your shell.
No, I destroy your shell. And then down here with the isopod swarm, I am not able to utilize them at the moment. I'm taking the squid. Okay. You're not talking much anymore.
I'm not going to be talking at all.
No?
No. Placing that there. Placing this here.
One of the best parts about these videos, though, is you slowly falling apart.
Go.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We got 4 more turns left. I mean, if you're gonna set this up, I feel like that one's not great, but it's becoming more and more attractive just because of how much stuff is there. I'll take the giant oarfish. I'll set it down. Let's see. Let's set it down here at the bottom. So starting up here with deep vents. Gain 2. Yeti crab. I'm going to spend 3 to gain a shell and attack you for 1. Black smoker. I'm going to spend 2 to and collect 1 to add 1 to every adjacent one. Down here with goblin shark, I'm going to collect mountains, so I collect 2. Down here with the isopod swarm, I'm going to spend 1 to gain a shell and collect 1. I think that's right. I think that's what it does. Yep. And then down here with the giant oarfish, I'm going to spend 3. Oh, it doesn't make sense yet. I'm not going to spend anything on it yet. I'm going to gain... I'm going to gain 2. Check the rules again. Add 1 archon for each adjacent hex with 2 or more. So right now it doesn't do anything. Okay. On to your turn.
Gosh darn it. Let's spend 1 to grab him. Then, let's go ahead and start activating everything. So spending 1 here to grab 1 shell, which gives him this. This one's going to generate 2.
Yep.
Nothing's going to happen there.
Nope.
This guy's going to gain 1, 2, 3, 4.
because it gains, but it can only gain a maximum of 2 because it's player level.
No. It's for every single tile that goes above player level, I gain 1.
Ah. Makes sense.
So 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
Then I'm going to spend this so that I can activate and you get 4 damage.
I take 4 damage. I'm going to spend a shell to reduce that by 2.
Is that how that works?
Yeah, it blocks 50% of damage, rounded
Wow.
up. And then I lose 2. So down to me. Let's crunch this a little bit more. Let's see what we still have going on, right, Jen?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. There's some giant squids out there. Question is, can I set them up to trigger? Let's see how they grow. That's the question. Move 1 Archon from each adjacent bioluminescent hex to this one. I don't have bioluminescent hexes, so that's not going to benefit me. As I watch Jan continue to fall apart, I'm going to spend 1, 2 to take this one. Let's set it there. And right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 2 more rounds to go. So
it doesn't matter. I'm not going to win.
Well, I want to see if I can kill you between those rounds and this one. So I'm going to gain 2. I'm then going to spend 3 to gain a shell and do a damage to you. This one here is able to populate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Again?
This one, yep, the 2 worms. Black Smoke Jumper will gain 3. Goblin Shark is going to destroy your shell and do 1 damage to you. Okay. Isopod Swarm is not going to do anything at the moment. And the Giant Oarfish, I'm going to spend 3, and I'm going to do damage to you. I'm going to do damage to you for everything that has 3 or more. So I'm going to do 2 more damage to you. Which means you're going to take...
I didn't take anything above that.
Okay, so you're at nothing at the moment. So any extra damage you take will push you beyond that. Okay, on to you.
I guess, because I can't go above anything. Oh, Lord. So this will attack all your bioluminescent, which you have none.
I don't have any bioluminescence, no.
Perfect. I guess I'll put this guy over here.
Now, just for context, Jan's lost a few games today.
I don't understand what's going on. I haven't played this wrong, I think, in my life. Easily. Grab 1 here. And I grab 2 here.
For our audience that enjoys watching you fall apart, this is going to be a great weekend trip. For those that have no context for how you get when you start falling apart,
it's just very frustrating. It's so frustrating.
Well, I don't know what to tell you, buddy. All right, on to me. Let's see if I'm able to see if I'm able to do anything. Let's just go ahead and take this one here. The Towering Smoke. Starting up here with Deep Vent, I will go ahead and add 2 to it. Yeti Crab is going to spend 3 to gain a shell and attack you. Giant Tube Worms, I can spend 5. Let's see what happens with the Tube Worms. Spend 5, add 1 Archon from the general supply to all adjacent hexes, then gain 1 shell. So sure, spend 5, everything's getting a little bit of a bump. And I gain a shell. Black Smoke Jumper. I'm going to spend 2. I'm going to gain 2. And then everything around it is going to gain 1. So you can see how this can all link together and chain and create a real ecosystem that's functioning.
Of course.
And
definitely not
together.
Me, though.
Let's see here. Moving over here to my Goblin Shark. I don't have enough, so I'm going to do Mountains. Mountains are going to give me 2. Towering Smoke. Now I need a marker here for my Towering Smoke. I'm going to spend, move up. So I archive all this. I move up on that chart by 1. That's it. Isopod Swarm. Spend 1 to gain a shell. And then the Giant Oarfish. I gain 2 for every, I think it's for every tile that you have that has 2+. Oh no, it's for each adjacent tile. That's a bad place to play that one because it's not growing like I want it to.
Oh, how? That probably ruined your entire game.
So
how horrible.
I have one last round of this game, so I'm not going to be able to wipe you out. Now you can get someone, if you get someone to -11, they're gone out of the game. So you can really beat up on someone in this game. If you get something up and running and they just can't combat it. Now the nice thing is this plays, I mean the box says this plays in like 30 minutes, which I think is true. So you could get up and running, have a game where you get wiped out, and then you know.
I'm gonna put that there, I guess. Move this over here. Put this over here.
Okay.
Flip that over there.
And go ahead and resolve your actions, and then I'll finish this game.
Yeah, but 100% you will, because like, what else am I gonna do? I get 4 here. Then I get nothing there. I'll spend 1. There's no point. I'll grab another one here. There's really no point.
Look at everything. Look at it all.
There's no point. I'm just gonna spend 2 so I can get 1 more.
All right.
Spend 1 more here.
All right. You want to just say I won?
Yes.
Okay.
This is ridiculous.
So, I clearly am the better gamer in this context.
Oh gosh. What is going on today?
I got something up and running. I got it functioning. Let's genuinely talk about the game a little bit. Deep vents. Like this.
I can't deal with it. I think you're just much better at engine building than I am. Because every game that we've played today has been engine building.
That's true.
So, my God.
That is true.
I am the worst engine builder ever.
I'll tell you what I started doing. I started by looking at how I could create patterns in my ecosystem that would start chaining events. Like, this one was a bad placement because I really didn't understand how it worked. But right up here with, like, deep vent, black smoke jumper, that set up mountains and fire that could then tie directly to the Yeti crab. Like, that was the perfect environment for it to live in. I started just trying to leverage what they do best.
Yeah, also, the ability that your black smoker gives you 3 for every single one as your first tile, that's amazing.
Gives me 3, but then I can use its ability. So as I grew around that ecosystem, it started giving me 5 on everything else. So, like, it was helping build.
No, it's crazy.
Here's the thing. I think this is actually a really intriguing lineup in the Red Raven Games series. We have some issues with it that I think people should pay attention to. However, when it comes to you're just drafting and building a little ecosystem, like, it does a really good job at this. There are powerful combinations, and it feels like you can get something running immediately. Now, if you don't get something running, as you saw
exactly.
Jan, you could be wiped.
No, so I feel this game is extremely punishing. You miss 1 single tile, you pick 1 single tile that's off, you're out. At least from from the brief games that we've done.
You need those gears to start running.
There's no way that you can catch up. Like, for example, in a single turn, if you're already doing 5 or 6 or 7, and I'm just doing 2, then that's it.
Possibly,
it's very difficult to get off of that. Except if you have a long con type of game, but it doesn't seem like the tiles allow for that.
There are aggressive patterns and things like that you can do to destroy or throw off some of my patterns. Like, you know, and we need to play it more to know for sure on some of those cases. But I think for something where you need the gears to work in a tight 30-minute game, this is a really intriguing introduction into that space. Like, I really genuinely like the pattern that is going on here. Now, the issue I think we both have is the iconography is really hard to follow until you've played the game. I mean, normally
I would even say that not even after you play the game.
There's one main element that the hexagons are kind of hard to track what they do to other players, like knowing which zone it's supposed to be affecting. We normally don't play with rulebooks in front of us. We like to learn games where we don't need to reference them. This is one, even though it's a small box game, these text descriptions here are I would say, like, essential to, and I'm glad they're here in the rulebook. Like, it's good they're here, but you're going to need to play with this open for at least, I'd say, for at least the first 4 or 5 games.
Unfortunately, the iconography is completely not intuitive. It does not allow for good drafting. Like, for example, just being able to look at the board and have a good sense of what to do is difficult to achieve because of that difficulty.
Some of the iconography is decent. Like, the iconography for your resources and for the way environments chain together. I have no problem with it there. It is mostly your triggered abilities. And that is because there is a lot going on with them. I mean, there's triggered abilities that are gain, then archive, then attack. Or you know, like, for everything adjacent to it. Or if your opponent does something specific, then yours gets. And those are really hard things to communicate through iconography, so I can understand where that disconnect happened. But, and I don't know that I have a better solution for it, honestly. However, it does mean that you're going to need this open, and you're going to need to reference it
all the time.
Well, at least the first 4 or 5 games.
Yeah,
Because I think I think it's a small enough game that you can learn what each type of thing does without a problem. Like, I learned very quickly, I knew with the black smoke jumper that I was spending 2 and then archiving and then adding. But I need, every time I play the game, I'll need to refresh that until it's just a pattern that I can recognize.
And another thing I would say, like, even though this, as you said when we started the video, deceptively, it's deceptively strategic and deep. I don't know. You're likely much better at picking up strategies from the first go. I think we've proven that many times. But those of you that have a little bit more, stumble a little bit more like I do, this is not one that I think is going to be easy for bringing in new players. Like, you're probably going to, anybody you play this with, you're going to steamroll them no matter what. It's very likely because you have a good understanding of how these tiles play out.
Yeah, but for someone that likes this type of game, this definitely scratches an itch that I feel like this is a really nice introduction to, not introduction, but it is a nice addition to a tight little sort of engine building or sequencing environmental game. I really do like it. I think there's some, like we've already said, I think there's some issues when it comes to complexity and getting new players into it. But if you know that this is a type of game that you're intrigued by, I think you will enjoy playing it. So
no, for sure, it is fascinating that this is coming out from Red Raven Games. Like the concept that there's no flavor text kind of baffles the mind in a Red Raven game. You never associate those two.
The Haven and Rome have been kind of experiments, and some of their older tiles have been small box experiments and stuff. So I can see it in the lineup. The artwork fits. The artwork stays in place, and I still honestly think this is a prequel to some of their heavier
Empires
titles.
of the Void.
Yeah, I think this sets you're building the ecosystem that creates the frog people that then leads to, like, the frog people live up on the shore. They've been populated for a while, and the humans and everything like that. And as these giant crabs come up, these crustaceans come and start decimating the land, probably at the end of something like Near and Far. Then the frog people have to blast off in spaceships to get away, and the land is taken over by crab-like deities.
So, with all that being said, if you've liked the level of frustration that I have shown during this gameplay, if you've liked Jesse going on incredible tangents describing a fictional universe, you might enjoy some of our other stuff. So if you haven't yet, make sure to like, subscribe.
No one's watching.
Well, if we're the few people that are, maybe hit a button down there.
No, at this point, we're talking to ourselves.
But
Yep.
whatever they do, what should they do, Jesse?
Nothing.
Whatever you do, though, remember to do the important thing and go, I did it wrong. I did it wrong. But whatever you do, though,
I'm keeping it.
Remember to do the important thing. Get out and play some games. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks.